Look, real copies, real books, which I've had printed. They're advanced copies. This is going to be published on the 16th of May. So these are advanced copies I've had printed that I can send out to reviewers, influencers, people who can help me to build up a bit of interest before publication day. I've also had some posters printed, some postcards, stickers, and those fabulous woven mission badges. And these are going to be kind of prizes for when I go out visiting schools and festivals and things like that for the kid who's most likely to end up being an astronaut. Just to kind of inspire them that little bit further along their career path, even though they're probably only going to be 10 years old. I've also been building my model Artemis Orion space launch system, something that I can take on stage with me when I go to visit schools and places, and get kids up on stage, and we can kind of take all the different sections off and explain how the whole mission goes from Earth across to the moon and landing on the moon. Well, this is my shed, and this is my Artemis Orion space launch system. Dum, dum, dum. You can see it's about, I don't know, 7 foot tall. Now this section here comes off. This is the cryogenic thingy system. Oh, let's bring it all down here and put it on the bench. So this is all shaped out of wood, which is, I had thought of doing all sorts of weird vacuum forming things, but I'm not going to. So this section here is the interim cryogenic stage. This section here is to connect this section to this section, and there's space inside where they can put lots of little box satellites and things like that in there. This bit here, I really thought I was going to have to do a vacuum form and make a whole vacuum forming system for it. This is the launch escape system, and that's held on with little magnets just there and there. And this kind of clips in. It's just enough to hold it on, which is all I really need, because this, when I'm demonstrating this, I can get rid of this quite early. And so inside we have the command or crew module and the European Space Agency service module. I've got to make some little solar panels to come out from there as well. And this too is held on. It's got a little magnet inside. It's just enough power to hold it in place. I don't want it too sticky. So the next job is to put on a bit of undercoat, and then I can see where all the lumps and bumps are and do a bit more sanding and shaping and smoothing, and eventually we will get there. First coat done, cup of coffee, and then I really ought to tidy up this worktop. Oh yes, and then this is my lunar lander, which is a bit more fictitious, and this presented lots of problems. I was thinking this front would have to be vacuum formed somehow, and I kept thinking, I can't do vacuum forming. So in the end, I got these blocks of lime wood and glued them together and carved it out. And then this is ply, which I steamed and pressed over, but I'm going to leave that glued in there for a couple of days. My poor little landers have taken a bit of a beating. This one came off, so I'm going to have to work out some way to glue it back on again. And it has kind of the look of a starship, but really it should be, if it was the starship, it should be sort of way up here, sort of twice the width. So this is a kind of fictitious version of Starship, but it's a fictitious story I'm writing. It is fiction, so I can invent my own starship if I like. And then I got to be able to cut out in here the hatch so that they can drop down. And I'm probably going to have to carve some little people or something, or find some little people to be astronauts. I've had a lot of thought about my moon lander. I've thought a lot about what I should make as a moon lander. So I've made a kind of a mini starship. It isn't quite as big as the SpaceX Starship, but it kind of fits what I want to do, and it kind of gives an appearance that it might be a starship. And it's kind of a manageable size, because the actual Starship would be sort of much, much bigger, quite a lot bigger than the Artemis Orion whole thing together. And I don't really want to be carrying all that around with me when I go visiting schools and stuff. Also, I'm going to want a kid to be able to kind of pretend to be doing a landing on the moon and holding a huge great thing they might find a little bit big and daunting. It's also useful because I'm thinking now about the second and third book and landing on the moon, and how my kids in my story are going to get to land on the moon, what kind of spaceships they're going to be having. And I don't want it to be exactly SpaceX, and it's not exactly NASA or anything. I've created a thing called the Space Agency, which I'm assuming is a kind of a worldwide kind of thing. But they're using an Artemis-y kind of space launch system. But there is this SpaceX-y kind of thing going on in the background, like there is in real life. So I wanted something that looked a bit like the Starship, but something that I can control and design and illustrate in the way that I want to, that fits in with the story.